Hi everyone, it's Kim Beekler of Ewethful Fiber Farm and Mill. This is kind of a different episode. This is more a little bit of a informational video on spinning wheels. So if you're joining me, this isn't for the first time, this isn't kind of usually how I run my vlogs, but I wanted to throw this one in because it's an oldie but goodie. And give you a new little fresh start on it. So because I'm working on this course for beginners to learn how to hand spin on a wheel, I want to make the process the least bit of overwhelming as possible to get you into where you're ready to spin. So this video that I'm about to show just kind of walks you through some of the basics of different types, the 3 different mechanic types of spinning wheels. If it seems like a lot of information, really, I'm just throwing this out there for you guys again so you can kind of see what the wheels look like. So I just wanted to come on, give a little introduction on it. If you haven't been to my website, I'll put the link in my show notes. There is a free guide that I put together that's kind of great wheels for beginners to learn to spin on. Also great wheels that will last you a lifetime. So go to the website. In the Wool School section, you will be able to get that free guide. And you can also join the waiting list for course information there as well. I think that's all I wanted to say. I also will be on Instagram live tomorrow, so if you happen to catch this today or on Wednesday, November 2nd, you can jump over to Instagram and I'll be on there talking a bit about spinning wheels and you can ask live questions there. So, but feel free to comment below, ask any questions, and I do my best to respond to you guys when there's questions that need answering. So anyway, enjoy. It's just, I think it's less than 10 minutes and it'll give you a little insight into spinning wheels, and maybe I hope to see some of you guys on Instagram tomorrow. Okay, enjoy the video. Okay, so we're back at it. I've got my 3 wheels lined up here for you guys. And I wanted to mention before that a lot of the information I'm talking about, and I'm going to get in a little bit closer here, is from this book. And I will put it down in the show notes, but it is a big book. You know, it's very thick and it's very dense, but it has some great information. So if you're looking, okay, so let's start with the first wheel. So this is an Ashford Traditional, and I had to write notes to keep myself on track here. I'm just going to briefly talk about the differences of these 3 types of wheels. So Ashford Traditional, this is one of the best starter wheels, I think, by the way. Because it's very forgiving and it's also very versatile. So you can make a lot of adjustments to it as a beginning spinner that you can't necessarily make as easily on other wheels. So you can see on this wheel that the yarn comes out, the orifice is right there. We've got the bobbin, we've got the flyer. So this is called a single drive wheel. And the reason that this is a single drive, it also can be called a Scotch tension wheel or a flyer led wheel. And the reason for that is it has got just this single drive band that attaches the flyer, which is this piece, to the wheel. So that's why it's just a single drive. And it's flyer led, meaning that when you start spinning, the flyer is actually what's turning and it's pulling the bobbin along for the ride. So that is what that means there. The flyer is leading the way for the bobbin. And the Scotch tension refers to this little coil here, and you can adjust this to control the uptake of your wheel. So you can have it take in more or less depending on how much tension is there. So that is the Ashford Traditional. Like I said, I think it's a really amazing first wheel. Really, basically, this wheel is, but if you, in general, single drive wheels, or Scotch tension wheels, whatever you want to call them, are great beginning wheels. I have a Kiwi at home, an Ashford Kiwi, and it's the same idea, but it looks very different. So next wheel here is my goodness, I have to actually, Kromski Minstrel, and I got this from somebody I know in Portland, and I spin on it quite a bit, and then I've got it here for classes when we do classes. But I wouldn't say this wheel is faster in general than some of the other wheels. So this may not be the best wheel. This is called a castle wheel, the style of it, meaning that everything is kind of up here in a castle form. That's kind of where it comes from. I'm not going to get too far into that, but let's veer in a little bit. So this is a double drive wheel. So let's veer in here a little bit. And by double drive, what they mean is you can see that there are two. One of them is coming to this whirl here. One of them is coming to the bobbin. So this bobbin actually has a groove in it where the band goes through. Then there's a whirl where the band goes through. And if you'll remember, and these are both attached to this wheel here. So when the wheel spins, guess what happens? They both spin because they're both attached. Now remember, on the single drive, there was just one band. The flyer turns and it in turn brings the bobbin along. So this is considered a double drive wheel. Of all the three types of wheels, which there are three types, this can produce the finest of yarns. And it also, in general, because of the setup, this type of a wheel, the double drive wheels, almost kind of force you to be consistent in your spinning. And the way you would adjust your uptake, basically, as far as, or how thick or thin you are spinning yarn, which is the same as the Scotch tension. It's the same idea, how you're going to get your yarn thicker or thinner, which is generally how fast the yarn is being pulled on, and we can talk about that in a different. It should not necessarily be how fast you spin your feet, which I've mentioned before. So on this wheel, you would adjust the whirls. So here's one whirl, and there's actually another whirl that is smaller that's just resting right here. So, and you can, in theory, also adjust bobbins. You know, if you have bigger or smaller whirls, you can go from here up to here, or you can go to that smaller, you can attach that smaller whirl instead of this. So, and this, a lot of double drive wheels. So at home, I also have an Ashford Elizabeth II. And if you look that up, or maybe I'll try to put a picture of it here, and I'll put a picture of my Kiwi too, so you can see that wheels look very different, even if they're the same style. So my Kiwi looks significantly different than this single drive. My Ashford II, my Elizabeth II, looks significantly different than this castle wheel, but it's still a double drive wheel. And on a lot of double drive wheels, you can basically make it a single drive Scotch tension, because you can see, here's this little, the same setup as what's over there. You would just have this only attached to the wheel from the whirl, and you would disregard this bobbin one, and then you would go to Scotch tension. Sorry, I don't think I was on this very well. So if I were to make this a single drive, I would basically put a band on that is only going from the whirl to the wheel. So the bobbin's no longer attached to the situation, just like over here. And then I would attach this over the bobbin. And then you can make it, you basically turned it into a Scotch tension. So it does have versatility there, which is lovely. Okay, third wheel, and this is the one I am the least familiar with. And this is one I think I talked about in a podcast. I ended up doing like a coffee shop parking lot not showdown, but I ended up getting a bunch of equipment from somebody who had passed away, and her family was looking for a place for it to go. So this wheel is a Louet S75, and they no longer make this wheel, but they still make Louets, so you could find similar. And one thing I don't have with me is that this wheel actually does have, you can see there's some holes here. This has a swift that comes up off of it, and you can attach that. So you can actually take your yarn right off of your bobbin onto a swift. So anyway, cool thing about it. So this is a single drive bobbin led wheel. So our first one that was single drive was flyer led. Remember, this was flying. Over here, double drive. Here, single drive bobbin led. And it's just kind of as the name says, and I only just realized this as I went down this rabbit hole. So this is led, the bobbin itself is attached to the wheel by the drive band. That's it. No whirl, nothing else, none of all that fancy stuff. So this is super simple, and it basically, when this turns, The wheel turns, the bobbin turns, the flyer is brought along for the journey. So on the first one, the bobbin was brought along on the journey. On this one, the flyer is brought along on the journey. So I have not spun a lot on this wheel. It needed to be cleaned up, and then it was kind of sitting. So now that I've got it up, and I realized, oh my gosh, I have all 3 style wheels, which I didn't realize I had. So anyway, I hope that helps at least explain the different type of wheels. If you were a super beginner or thinking about it, I would lean towards getting some type of a single drive flyer lead wheel. Almost every manufacturer's, I would guess, makes a similar wheel. So that's the thing. And they can all look different. So Ashford makes both styles. Louet makes both styles. I don't know. I haven't actually looked into that. But a lot of the wheel companies make both style wheels. So I think that's it, guys. I think that is my kind of, here's 3 different wheels, here's how they function. And if you guys want me to get into how they spin differently or how to control each wheel differently, that is something that I can definitely do. Just let me know, right? You know, down in the comments, or send me a message, email, whatever. So anyway, I hope that helps there.